Hi everybody, this is the Alarm Doctor. Due to the tremendous amount of questions I get via email, forums, websites, telephone calls, I've decided to start doing some videos on municipal fire alarm telegraph equipment, how it operates, what to do to hook things up or to repair things, especially for the collectors, but also for any of these younger guys that have inherited municipal systems from their elder troubleshooters that have gone ahead and retired. So I hope this helps. I'll try to answer the questions through the forums that I'm already on. I probably won't be answering any questions through YouTube or any place else that this is posted. I do want to say that I would like to dedicate all these municipal fire alarm telegraph videos to Mr. Bob Fitz. He was a good friend of mine. He was my mentor in fire alarm telegraph. He actually was a technician, troubleshooter, and salesman for the original Gamewell company. So Bob, these videos are dedicated to you. Alright, what we have here is the Gamewell Peerless three-fold mechanism. The one on the left is one of the earliest versions, and the one on the right is the latest version. As you can see, they haven't changed much in all those years. The operating design is the same. The only difference is some of the components are made a little bit different, and there's also a feature or two on the newer version that's not on the older version. The other thing I want to point out about these is when it comes to getting code wheels. I know a lot of guys are collecting boxes and they want their code wheel to match their number plate on the front. However, the mechanisms are just a little bit different between the old and the new, and I'm going to point those things out to make sure that you get the correct code wheel for your mechanism. So the first thing we look at here is we see that the old mechanism, of course, has a non-interfering coil, as well as the new mechanism. The older style also has the automatic grounding bar, and the new one does also. These are your shunt contacts, which shunt the box out of the circuit when it's at rest. Here's the start lever, which is the same on both mechanisms, as well as the winding lever. This is an overwind preventive device on both of these. This prevents you from overwinding and breaking the mainspring. There is a couple little subtle differences though, however, that you may not know. If you notice this arm right here, this arm is a broken spring or wind down indicator. If the spring breaks or while the box winds all the way down, it will push this lever down, and what happens is, as you notice up at the top, the grounding lever, the grounding bar starts to go up towards the contacts. If the mainspring breaks, or if it winds all the way down, it will throw this box into grounding mode. It will put a trouble on the system until the operators and the service techs that they have a problem in a box or on the circuit, and they'll go out and start looking. As you can see, this one does not have that. Now, the other big difference that I wanted to talk about when it comes to finding code wheels for these mechanisms, and it's all in the code wheel and the contact bar. So I'm going to show you these right now on these mechanisms, and then I have a couple taken off, and I will show you the difference between the code wheels and the contact levers. So if we come in here closer to the old style one, you'll notice that this contact, here's the contact lever, here's the code wheel. This code wheel has a set screw, and also it has what we call a spring shield, which I will show you later. On the newer style one, here's the code wheel, of course, here's the shield. You'll notice that the contact lever is different and that it uses a nut on the top to hold the code wheel in place. So what I'm going to do now is I will take the code wheels off, I will show you the back of them, and I will also show you the contact levers so you understand why you have to have the correct indexer and shield on your code wheel depending on what mechanism you have. Okay, first things first. If you look at the shaft that the code wheel goes on this older style 3-fold mechanism, you notice that it's just a plain tapered shaft. If you look at this one, and I know it's hard to see because of the glare, let me see if I can get a better angle. Here we go. You see that the tapered shaft is there. There's threads on the top, but you see this little pin right here? That's what I call an indexing pin. The reason for that indexing pin is if you look at the code wheel that goes to this mechanism, you will see that it has a plate with an indexing notch and what I call a rigid shield. Now, if you look at this closely, the rigid shield has no flex. It does not move. It's very stiff. If you look at the shield for this older mechanism, you notice that first of all the indexing plate is not present, and also that this is spring loaded. You can move it. Now the reason for that is the contact bars. So take a close look at that. There's the spring shield back. Here's the rigid shield with the indexing plate back. The code wheels themselves are exactly the same, and you can interchange. If you have a code wheel that has this type of index on it, you can take this off, remove the screws, take this one off, remove everything, and swap them back and forth. It's not a big deal. The screw holes are in the same place and everything. Now let me show you the reason why you have to have the correct shield on your code wheel. If you look at this contact bar, you'll notice this is out of the new mechanism. You'll notice that the contact, where it contacts the code wheel, moves up and down. It's spring loaded. That is so that can ride up on the rigid index as the code wheel goes around. If you look at the contact bar out of the older style mechanism, you'll see that it's solid. So for that to operate correctly, you have to have the spring index. What happens is the spring index, as this comes around, actually bends downward and allows this to ride over top of it. Now what I'll do is I'll put these code wheels back on these mechanisms, and I'll try to get a good enough shot so that you can see exactly what's happening there. Okay, I'm going to start this mechanism, and I'm hoping, I know the shot's not real great, but I'm hoping you can see what I'm talking about as far as the spring shield and the way the contact arm rides up on top of it. Okay, the shield's bending down, it's riding on top of it. And I don't know if you hear that little click or not, but that's the shield bouncing back up. Okay, the mechanism just reset.